The letter taped to my front door wasn't just paper. It was a threat. 30 days to vacate due to non-compliance. I stared at the bold black letters, my pulse pounding in my ears. Non-compliance with what? We just moved in 3 weeks ago. Our boxes weren't even all unpacked yet. As I stood frozen, I felt the weight of eyes on me. Turning, I saw her, Evelyn Grant, the president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. She stood at the curb in a crisp red blazer, clipboard pressed to her chest like a badge of honor. Her short blonde bob didn't move an inch in the breeze. And that smirk, that smug, self-satisfied smile, it wasn't just confidence. It was a weapon. "You're not authorized to occupy this property until we review your background," she said. Her tone flat and authoritative, like she was addressing a criminal, not a new homeowner. Her voice carried across the lawn, making sure every neighbor watching from behind their blinds heard it loud and clear. She wanted a scene. I folded the notice slowly, deliberately, forcing myself to stay calm. "That's not how housing law works." Her smirk deepened. "It is here." Her eyes locked onto mine, daring me to push back. She thought I'd crumble. She thought I'd lower my head like the others. But she didn't know me. Not yet. "My name's Daniel Cross," I said evenly. "Former FBI special agent. I've seen intimidation tactics before. And yours don't scare me." For just a second, just a flicker, her smirk faltered. Her eyes blinked, calculating. Then the mask returned. But I saw it. The crack in her armor. And I knew this was only the beginning. If you've ever had someone in power try to bully your family, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happened next nearly cost us our home. We'd moved into Willow Creek to find peace. My wife and I wanted a safe, quiet community, tree-lined streets, neighbors who waved good morning, a good school for our daughter, Emily, who was about to start kindergarten. The first few days felt like a dream. Kids riding bikes, dogs being walked, cookouts in backyards. It seemed like the kind of neighborhood you saw in brochures. But it didn't take long for the cracks to show. Evelyn Grant, the self-proclaimed queen of Willow Creek. She introduced herself the day after we moved in. Clipboard already in hand, she pointed out that our moving truck had been parked on the street, longer than regulation allowed. The next day, a note appeared in our mailbox. Warning: bicycles must be stored in the garage. Leaving children's toys outside creates neighborhood clutter. It was Emily's little pink bike. She'd left it in the yard after riding it with the neighbor's kids. She was 5. I shrugged it off at first. Maybe she was just overly enthusiastic. Maybe she was just one of those people who lived for rules. But it didn't stop. A week later, another violation notice. This time because my wife had planted roses along the walkway. Not HOA-approved landscaping. We ignored it. But ignoring Evelyn was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Then came the letter taped to our door. 30 days to vacate, eviction. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table long after my wife and daughter went to bed. The eviction letter spread out in front of me. I pulled out the HOA handbook, a thick binder we'd been given at closing, page after page of rules. But as I read, something didn't add up. The violations she cited weren't in the book. Some of the amendments had no signatures, no board approval, just typed lines slipped into emails she'd sent out. She wasn't enforcing rules. She was making them up. Evelyn wasn't running an HOA. She was running a regime. The next morning, I walked into the Willow Creek clubhouse with the letter in my hand. Her office door was open. She was at her desk, posture perfect, hands folded on top of her clipboard. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You can fight this, Mr. Cross," she said smoothly, before I even spoke. "But my board has connections. You'll lose." I placed my phone on her desk, recording. "You just admitted this isn't legal," I said quietly. Her smile vanished. Her eyes narrowed. "Turn that off." But I didn't, because in that moment, I wasn't just a homeowner. I was an investigator again. And Evelyn had no idea what kind of fight she'd picked. When I left the bureau, I promised my wife I'd never bring work home again. That the darkness, the surveillance, the endless cases, it was over. But this wasn't about work. This was about my wife crying at midnight, terrified we'd lose our home. This was about my daughter asking me if we had to move again, if she'd have to leave her friends behind. This was about a bully who thought she could control everyone with fear. Evelyn believed she was untouchable, that people would keep their heads down, pay their dues, and stay silent. She didn't know that I'd already reached out to 3 other families who'd received the same eviction notices. A single mom raising 2 kids, an elderly couple on a fixed income, a Marine veteran still battling PTSD. Evelyn had targeted them all. That evening, I invited them into my living room. We sat around the table, papers spread out between us. This isn't about violations, I told them. It's about control, and it ends now. For the first time, I saw something in their eyes besides fear, hope. We weren't scared anymore. We were organized. Evelyn didn't back down. She doubled down. The next week, she called code enforcement. Claimed our home was structurally unsafe. She told neighbors we were a danger to the community. She even stood outside our house one morning, snapping pictures like a paparazzi, pretending to document evidence. But what she didn't know was that every word, every threat, every fake violation, I had it all documented. I built a case file thicker than most criminal investigations I'd run at the bureau. Timestamps, emails, witness statements, audio recordings, even video footage from the doorbell camera showing her slipping notes onto doors in the middle of the night. When the inspectors arrived, Evelyn strutted beside them, pointing dramatically at cracks in the sidewalk, at peeling paint on the trim. But when they stepped inside, I handed them my folder. The lead inspector flipped through it, his expression hardening with every page. Finally, he looked up. "This is fraud," he said flatly. Evelyn's face drained of color. That was the day her grip on Willow Creek slipped. Word spread fast. The family she had bullied started speaking up. Stories poured out. Intimidation, false fines, threats of foreclosure. And me? I wasn't just fighting for my family anymore. I was fighting for all of them. We filed a formal complaint with the county. Her fake amendments were stripped out of the HOA bylaws. A new election was scheduled. The neighbors who once hid behind blinds now stood tall on their porches, waving as I walked by. Kids laughed in the yards again. The fear was gone. Evelyn still lives here, but she doesn't smile anymore. Not at me. Not at anyone. Because she knows this fight isn't over. And next time, she won't just be facing a homeowner. She'll be facing the law. So let me ask you this. Where are you watching from? Because HOAs like Evelyn's exist everywhere. They count on silence. They thrive on fear. But remember this. Bullies only have power until you stand up to them. And when you do, they fall.